Let me just start off by saying that I actually went to a toy show this weekend and I made the severe mistake of actually wearing like a Batman t-shirt, and everybody was trying to sell me their Batman junk. I literally had somebody try to sell me a used condom with a Batman logo on it. Well, not really, but you get what I'm trying to say. Somebody tried to sell me Batman lingerie. Like what? I'm also kidding. That did not happen. But in all honesty, people did try to sell me a bunch of random stuff. Like I had people trying to sell me random Hot Wheel Batmobiles. I don't collect Hot Wheels. I don't get it. Just because I wear a Batman t-shirt doesn't mean I'm going to buy all Batman related stuff at the toy show. Anyways, a little bit disappointing, not great. I did think about recording at the toy show, but usually the music is just so loud and there's too much editing involved, so I didn't do it. But I did find a couple of decent deals, so I'll be kind of showcasing that in a video probably next week. But today we're talking about a really big release. We are finally getting that Marvel Legends Carnage from the Let There Be Carnage Venom film. And to be brutally honest, I actually did enjoy the original Venom film from Sony. I thought it was a little bit cheesy, a little bit over the top, but I actually genuinely enjoyed it. Let There Be Carnage, however, is absolute garbage. I did not like it. It was an absolute chore to watch the entire 2 hours of this film. Having said that, we are talking about action figures, and sometimes the source material may not be very good, but the offerings in terms of collectibles could potentially be very surprising. Now, I know what the biggest talking point is when it comes down to this action figure, and that is the price point. It's pretty hefty. It's insane. It's almost crazy. $39.99. And what I thought that I would do today is try to make sense of all of this. Why exactly this particular figure has gone up all the way to $39.99. Now, I was trying to take a closer look at this particular body mold and compare it to the Venom Pool Wave Carnage. If I'm not mistaken, that one has been reused. That one was actually the one that they re-released for that Target exclusive retro carded version, and it seems like they're going to continue to reuse that body mold until it gets old and consumers stop buying it. But at least from the promotional images, it appears most of this body is completely new. Now, I could be wrong. There might be a piece here and there that they've reused before, but just comparing the two, I couldn't really see any similarities. The texturing and the overall composition of the body is just too different. It's almost like skeletal compared to the older one, which looked like it was taken out of the comic book pages. So it's different source material, so I could definitely understand why it is that they chose to take this route. It's just really interesting because, as I said, a $40 price point for a Carnage figure that was featured in a film that just did not do well. Not a lot of people went to watch this in movie theaters, and those that did just completely destroyed it for being awful. So it's just a really interesting decision here from Hasbro to decide to make this figure a deluxe release. Not to say that we don't want more deluxe releases like this. I mean, we could potentially see like a Venom deluxe release that is based on the comic books, that comes with a plethora of different accessories, specifically, you know, like extra tendrils, extra arms, appendages, things of that nature. So hopefully this kind of paves the way for the future in terms of that. But again, $40, it's nothing to scoff at. It is a pretty decent amount, and like I said, just from the promotional images, all of the body does seem to be brand new and specific to this particular figure. It will also come with an extra head sculpt, and I must say, even though they don't necessarily look accurate to the source material, I actually really liked both of these head sculpts. I'm very interested to see if you can port these onto other Marvel Legend Carnage figures, but regardless, they're just really well done. I love the one with the tongue sticking out. It will come with kind of two extra hands. One of them is supposed to be a blade, and the other one is a combination of a hand and a blade on top of, you know, the two hands that it originally comes with. It will also come with 3 appendages that attach to the back of the figure, and even though it's technically only 3 different pieces, once you actually port them on and pose the figure, it actually looks like 5 different appendages coming out of his back, which I think is pretty smart from Hasbro. You're able to save a little bit of money that way. Instead of having 5 different pieces, you mold 2 of those together and make it more reasonable, instead of, like I said, having a bunch of different things to port onto the back of the figure. I'm assuming it's also pretty good when it comes down to any budgetary constraints that they could potentially run into. Paintwork, it looks really well done, at least in the images. I love that black shading that goes all around the figure. Not to mention the body sculpting. I already mentioned this previously, but it just looks really well done. It looks like it has a lot of detail, and because of that black wash over it, or that black paint, it really brings out the details. I don't judge. If you're a toe guy, you're a toe guy, but this figure actually has feet, so if that's your thing, I mean, it is what it is. But I will, and again, it's worth mentioning, it looks like it's new sculpting in that regard as well. Now, in terms of the articulation points, just based on the images, I was trying to get a closer look, and everything seems to be pinless, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. There's a thigh cut, and then it does have that extra cut at the mid torso, so it really helps out with that ab crunch. One of the bigger noticeable issues that I'm going to have with this figure right off the bat is that it does not come with butterfly joints. I've said it before, I'm a butterfly joint type of guy. I need it. It's very important when it comes down to posing and articulation and how it's going to display in your collection. And it is one of the few gripes, well, aside from the price point, but it's definitely one of the bigger gripes that I have with the figure. And I'm also just thinking out loud, but I also wonder if Sony being involved in this deal maybe drove the price up, at least to a certain extent. I don't know if Disney's involved as well, so maybe they had to pay a licensing fee to both companies. Again, just pure speculation, because the first Venom I think went for regular price, whatever the price point was at that time, like the $20. So this is just a really interesting price. Like maybe Sony is requesting more money from the deal. We just don't know, because the plastic itself I think is kind of like on the verge of deluxe, but at $40 it does seem a little bit slightly overpriced, maybe like $7 to $8 overpriced, at least in my personal opinion. I suppose at the end of the day, it's a matter of personal perspective. Whatever your budget dictates, that's what you're going to do here. And it's worth mentioning, this particular Carnage I feel like does fit in with even comic book displays. It doesn't necessarily look too much like the film's appearance. I mean, it is based on that, but I still think you can throw it into like a symbiotic Marvel Legends display. I still think that it would easily fit in. But as always, this is my personal perspective, my personal opinion. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say about this whole situation. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for continuing to support the channel. Stay tuned. We upload a bunch of random nonsense like this. If you guys enjoyed it, definitely stick around. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the hobby. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you.